guys, and we are ready to do both of March's projects. So the design for this month is the little Hoppy Easter mug rug, and it comes in two sizes for the 5x7 and then one for the 8x10 hoop, I believe. We did up the kits for the 5x7 size for the mug rug. I'm not going to show a video on the mug rug just because we've all done mug rugs, so we know how those go together. So what I'm going to be showing the video about is the little taco organizer. This was the Kimberbell's bonus project for y'all this year, and so I will be doing the video on that here in a minute. And we did up kits. We have the kit for the mug rug and the kit for the little taco cord organizer. What I am going to show you first is we're going to go back to the little mug rug project. The first bonus project that I'm giving you for this year, that we're doing for this year, is the little basket, fabric covered basket. And on this one I did the little bunny from the Penance design CD that was out a few years ago, and I think these may be in the vault now. I don't know that we have them for sale, but I think they may be in the vault. And I just deleted the construction of the pennant part of the project and did the little bunny on this basket. But I thought this little design would be perfect for the basket if you're wanting to do like a little Easter basket. So I was going to show you a couple of different ways of how you can tear apart the designs, because if we're going to use just this part on the basket, we don't need the construction part or the quilting part of the mug rug. So I was going to show you how you can get rid of those. Okay, the first way I'm going to show you how to tear apart the designs is on the Solaris machine, and this is going to work for any of the Solaris or Luminaires that either have done the upgrade to get it to like the version 3 machines. So once you bring up the design, we need to get rid of the quilting and the placement line for the two background fabrics and the little stitch that sews it together and all of that. So in the edit screen, there's this little no sew feature. And so you can click on that, and then it shows you the different sections. So it shows you here in the preview screen what's selected first, and we don't need that. Like, that's our placement line for our batting. So it's selected. You just hit the little no sew down here. Then you go to the next section. That's for the placement line for the piecing. And then you have the lines where you're actually sewing the two background pieces together. Then that's going to be the tack down of both of those. That's the quilting. We don't need that. That starts the actual applique. So we do need that. So all of the placement line and tack down and cover stitches for the appliques, and then the little flowers, and then the Happy Easter and everything. We need all of those, but down here at the bottom, the very last thing is the stitch that sews the mug rug together. So we don't need that either. So I can hit the no sew on that. So what we're left with is just the Easter bunnies with the Hoppy Easter design. Now the thing is, doing it this way, the machine still thinks that, like, I'm going to turn that off. It still thinks that you're sewing that whole entire design. So as far as like getting this centered and everything, it may be a little tricky because when it does the trial in the hoop, it's going to include the whole design. So this is where you might want to use the scan and capture, where you can scan what's in your hoop, or the projector and things like that to get the design positioned exactly where you want it. Because when we send it to the embroidery machine, see, it's just going to stitch off the sections that we have, but it thinks it is still centered. So if I move it up here, see, the center of my design is still moving. So just be aware of that. Just kind of account that when you're doing it this way with one of these machines. Okay, so now second way I'm going to show you how to tear apart the design is on the Bernina machines. So the Bernina 880, 790, and then the 770 plus machine. So if you have a 770 plus, or you have an older 770 that you upgraded to the plus, it's going to have these features now. And so what we can do is you have your layers. Well, I'm going to go into the edit screen. There. Okay, so we're in the edit screen. Down here, you have this minus and plus right there. We're going to turn that icon on. And then what we're going to do is basically start separating this design, start tearing it apart into the different layers. So, see how it shot up there? And so now we have the different sections of the design. So what I can do is just start selecting the section that I want to get rid of, go back into the edit screen and hit the trash can. And then it's, no, not that, trash can. And then confirm that I want to get rid of it. Now it has that layer selected. I want to get rid of that one. Maybe I need this stylus. And you just basically trash each layer, each part. Now that is that layer there. Okay, then I'm at the very first of the applique, so I need to scroll up here and get to that stitch where it stitches everything together. Okay, so that layer right there, I'm going to get rid of that. Now, what's neat about these machines, what we can do now is I want to get the Hoppy Easter centered more on the design. So I want the Hoppy Easter and I want these little flowers right here. So now I can group those together. So I have the top one selected and it's going to group it with this one underneath here. So I go into that minus and plus little symbol again and select that one and group it together. So see how I put those two together? I'm going to select that one, group those together. Going down. That one's selected. Group it. That's the part in the bunny, so I don't want that. So I just want those right there. That's my Hoppy Easter and my flowers. And now I can go to the move icon and move those sections of the design and get it centered on the entire group of bunnies. Then I can go even farther. I can scroll down to the very bottom layer, and that's where it selects everything, and then get it centered in my hoop. So now I have the whole thing exactly the way I want it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to tear apart a design in the BES lettering program. And this is the program I showed y'all a couple of months ago in the meeting when we were doing monograms and all. And so it has a bunch of monogram styles and lettering styles built into it. But you can also tear apart your designs. So I'm going up here into the top left-hand corner and I'm going to open my design. And then that puts it on the screen. I have a 3D version of it. So right now it's kind of showing it in the stitching version. So you can see all the jump threads. So if I touch 3D, that just allows you to see it in like how it's going to stitch off. And then over here on the left side of the screen, you have all the different sections of the design. So I just have to select the one that I want to manipulate. I can either size it, move it, whatever. But up here, it says delete. So I can just hit delete and it gets rid of that section. And then I can go ahead and select everything that I need to delete. So I can get a hold of that section, hold down my control key on my keyboard as I select all the different
parts. So that has all the placement lines and the quilting. And then I can go down here to the very bottom and get that construction stitch and select all of those and then hit delete, and it gets rid of all of them. And so now I have just the parts that I want, but I can move around. So if I want to get the Hoppy Easter and the little flowers centered over the bunnies, then I just have to select those over here, and I can select all of them. I can hold down my shift key and that selects all of those, and then I can move it. So see how my cursor kind of turns into that little hand there, and then I can just click and drag and place it wherever I want it and get it centered over that little middle bunny. I'm going to move it down just a little bit, just like that. And so makes it pretty easy to manipulate your designs.
Okay, so we're ready to do our taco cord organizer is what they're calling it. So I brought the design up, and it does say that it will fit in the 4x4 hoop. I'm going ahead and using the 5x7 hoop because we're going to be trimming a lot, and I just want a little bit more room for my scissors and everything in the hoop. So either one, 4x4 or 5x7 hoop. We're using the Aqua Mesh stabilizer. We want the water soluble. That's the mesh. And then you want to gather your threads. I have green on the machine. That's what we're going to start with. And then you want brown, red, and orange, or a cheese color. So this is for the cheese of your taco. And you want to wind a bobbin for each of those colors. So I have the green bobbin in the machine, and the machine threaded up with green. In your kit, you have the pieces of felt, so the taco shell, the lettuce, and then the little glitter sheet is for the taco meat. And so you do want to make sure on the glitter sheet that you peel the plastic away and get rid of that. Okay. And we're gonna put the hoop on the machine, and what it's going to do first is just stitch a placement line for our piece of green felt, which is the lettuce. Okay, and then we're just going to lay our felt, green felt, on here because this is the lettuce, and then stitch the tack down. And we are using a little bit darker color thread for the green. That's what it showed in the picture. So. Now we're just going to trim the felt away. And I mean, the good thing about this is that it's lettuce, you know, it doesn't have to be exact. So I'm going to just come up in here and trim this circle, but this is going to be a good chunk of felt that you can save for something else. So save that piece, and then we'll just go in and start going up and around. And I don't know, you know, really how, I'm not going to be all that exact. We will do a rough cut here. Now, in the instructions for the next step, it tells us to, it's on step 8 in your instructions. It says to go ahead and thread up with the brown color thread for the glitter sheet, which is our taco meat. But it does say to leave the green bobbin. It says for Continue using green bobbin thread for design purposes. So, not real sure what that means, but that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to thread up with the brown. Okay, so I've got the brown threaded, and what it's going to do now is stitch the placement line for the glitter sheet. And you could, I mean, in theory, you know this glitter sheet is going to go right on top of the green, and so you could forward through this step if you wanted to, but I've already started, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch it off. Okay, so there's the placement line. I am going to go ahead and tape this glitter sheet down because it's wanting to kind of curl up a little bit. So you're just going to place that on top and then stitch the tack down. It finished stitching the tack down. You can barely see it because my thread matches the glitter sheet so well. So now we're just going to go in and trim the glitter sheet away. Again, I'm not going to worry about being exact. You just want like basically clumps of meat there around your taco. So again, I'm going to kind of cut this circle away first. Make sure you're not getting a hold of your water-soluble stabilizer up underneath there. And trimming that. And watch your felt piece up underneath there also. And again, this is going to be a big hunk of the brown glitter sheet that you can save for something else. Okay, now I'm just gonna finish trimming my meat, taco filling, and we will be back. Okay guys, I'm told Bailey start filming again because this glitter sheet, the stitches just perforated it. It's just tearing right away. So don't trim it. Heck, go in there and tear it away. That's a whole lot easier. Woohoo! There we go. Okay, so now it says to change our top thread and our bobbin thread, and it's going to stitch the tomatoes. Which I guess I will stitch off even though I don't eat tomatoes on my tacos. I'm go ahead and stitch it. So it's going to stitch. We're going to do the red top and bobbin for our tomatoes, and then after it stitches that, we want the orangey yellow for our cheese, and we will stitch that. So we'll just go ahead and stitch both of those. There's that's not applique or anything, it's just the stitching, and we'll come back when we're done. finished stitching off the little tomatoes and the cheese, and then I took it off the machine and I just went in and clipped all the little jump threads and little thread tails that were on the back of the hoop. Kind of cleaned up the back of it. And then I went ahead and I've changed my bobbin thread and my top thread to the brown, and we are on page 6, step 15. And so what it's going to do now is a placement line for one of the pieces of brown felt. So for our little taco shell. So it's going to stitch that. One piece down, cover all that, and then it's going to stitch the tack down for it. Take it off the machine. Now I'm going to do something that the instructions aren't telling us to do. The next step, step 18, is saying to tape the other piece of brown felt back here on the back. I'm going to try to remove this water-soluble stabilizer right here, because I don't want that left in. I don't want to have to submerge this whole thing and get the whole thing wet to get all of this water soluble out. I'm just going to do kind of the little paper towel thing on the back side to remove the water soluble in here. And I don't want this to get all like gummy when I do that. And so I'm just going to remove this part of it. And if you just left it in there, I don't know that it would really hurt anything, but I just thought to get that out of there. Okay, and again, you don't have to do that. Now I'm going to take the other piece of felt and put it, and this is on the back side of the hoop. I'm going to tape it down. And then we'll put it back on the machine, and it's going to stitch a tack down for that. Make sure it doesn't curl up or anything. Now, the machine says we're done, but Bailey and I have been discussing. So, the last step in the instructions after we trim the piece of brown felt down and everything, we're supposed to sew on by hand little snaps, okay, so that your taco shell will close. I want to try something. Just because and I was prepared. I brought snaps. I was going to stitch them on by hand, but I want to try something. On the back side of my hoop, this is where the part that's going to close. Okay, so it's the back side of the taco. I cut me some little pieces of Velcro, and I'm going to tape those down right over that tack down and everything, like that. And then I'll borrow that piece of tape and tape the other one down here. Just make sure they're across from each other. And then I'm going to put the hoop back on. I'm going to go into the minus and plus where we can forward and reverse, and I'm going to go back just one whole step, and that's going to take me back to that tack down again, and we're going to stitch that and see if that holds that piece of Velcro on there. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be stitching a snap-on, but if it does, hey. Looks like it went over it. Stitched it down, so I'm going to remove all my tape. And then at this point, well, it's actually probably easier to trim the felt away with it still in the hoop. So I'm going to go up and trim, and just trim the outside of your taco shell. Don't trim the inside. And again, this is still on the back side of the hoop. We will have to trim the shell from the front side of the hoop also. There we go. Get that little mess out of there. The purpose of this little taco cord holder, it's your bonus project for this year. Kimberbell came out with it, and it's was kind of like a play on words. We were supposed to taco about the club and the digital dealer exclusives and everything, so we're tacoing about it, and so that's the taco where that came from. So now we'll unhoop it, and then we just need to, and it looks like a taco. I'm impressed the way they digitized that. Then we'll go in and trim our water soluble away as close as we can. You want to get rid of as much of the water soluble as you can when you trim it, and that way you have the least amount of, gumminess when you start washing it out or doing the little paper towel thing. There we go. And then we will go wash out or do the little paper towel thing, and voila, Velcro works. Now, I don't know if you're using this a lot. I mean, I don't know how long the Velcro would actually hold up and last, but it's working pretty good. And I didn't have to sew anything by hand. Ta-da! Bailey said I need to show the paper towel method. And so, This time, since it has water soluble on like both sides of the project, I'm laying a wet paper towel down on the pressing surface, then laying my taco down, and then putting the wet paper towel on top. And then you just hold your iron down on there a few seconds. Hot. And then that water soluble sticks to it, and you usually have to do it, you know, a couple of times. So I'm gonna take that bottom one and just kind of fold it on top of itself. You want to kind of fold it on top of itself so that way where the water soluble stuck to this side of the paper towel, it's not getting back on it. And then here's another set. There we go. There we go. That worked. Trim up some of my threads still. There we go. And then I don't have a cord. Here's a cord from the camera. So you take your cords, and I need them longer than that. Like your phone charger cords, you know, things like that, your computer cables, stuff like that. And then you're supposed to wrap that around. This is not easy to do when Bailey's connected to the camera. But then it wraps around your cords. It's a cord minder. Works pretty good.